So much. I'm excited to be here as well. So hello from the United States, state of Wisconsin. It's great to be here with this international community that's all supporting career readiness for our young people. I'm going to share with you in a second here a pre-recorded session for the informational portion of my presentation. And I'm doing it for a really good reason. When we first embarked on this project, this Youth Voice and Career Readiness Project, we wanted to make sure that we had young people directly involved in the project itself. And so we hired this amazing college student as our intern last summer. And she is really the star of the show. She actually ended up staying on with us all throughout the fall. And then this past semester, she has went on to become a student teacher. She is going into education herself, which we're really proud of. But unfortunately, she couldn't be with us today because she's finishing up her student teaching. So I did an interview with Alexis, and I want to share that with you. So Allison, if you could play the video, please. Hello, it's such an honor to be with you today at the Disrupting Futures Conference. My name is Karin Smith. I'm from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction on our Career and Technical Education team. And we're here to talk to you today about our project Youth Voice and Career Readiness. Now, before we start, I have to give all the credit for this project to our amazing intern, Alexis Burgos, who's here with me today. And is going to be participating as my interview subject for this presentation. So Lexi, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Alexis Burgos, and I was the DPI's Career and Technical Education Research Analyst intern during the summer of 2022. I had the honor to work on the Youth Voice and Career Readiness Project during my internship alongside Karin and other DPI and Wisconsin community partners.
And Lexi was amazing. We could not have done this project without her. And, so think back to spring of 2022. We were grappling with a lot of different things, from the after effects of learning loss from COVID, to mental health issues, to just the politics and education. There's a lot going on when it comes to career readiness and K-12 education. And we knew it really was time to make sure that we were listening to our students and really finding out what they wanted and what they need from career readiness as they think about their next steps for their future. And so that's where this project came from. And so Lexi, my first question for you is, tell us a little bit about the methods used for this project. What did you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the survey, our sources were sampled from current high school students and recent high school graduates. Outreach included K through 12 school districts and student organizations for current high school students, and colleges, workforce development, and student organizations for recent high school graduates. Data was collected qualitatively and quantitatively through an 11-question Google form during the months of March to June 2022. There were a total of 4,286 responses for current high school students and 204 responses for recent high school graduates.
Oh, that is an amazing response rate, especially for the current high school students. That's really great. I know, getting a hold of those recent high school graduates has been tough. So that's definitely something that we're going to be working on in the future. But as I'm sure everyone's going to find out, we found out some really powerful information from them. So surveys was one way that one method that you used. Was there any other methods?
Yeah, so besides the survey, we also collected qualitative data via virtual focus groups and interviews. These sessions lasted 45 minutes to an hour long. There were 8 current high school focus group sessions with 14 total participants, and 3 recent high school graduate focus group sessions with 7 total participants. And then here on the slide, you can see the flyer used to promote the focus groups.
That's awesome. And I love the way that you set this up so that we got some really good baseline information from the surveys, and then we were able to dig a little bit deeper with these focus groups and interviews. So, all right, so now let's get to the key findings. What did we find out? Now, I know so one of the questions that we asked was, how do students find out about career readiness activities? Who do they go to for help? Tell us what you found out about that.
So for this key finding, we learned that most students learn about career readiness activities from teachers, but they go most to their family for help.
That is very, very insightful. And I think what's powerful to me about this finding is that most students go to teachers to find out about their career readiness activities. Because I don't know if teachers always really know what career readiness activities are going on in their school. So that's really important insight. Now, when you looked at this data, was it the same for all students, or were there any differences when you looked at different student populations?
For sure. So on the survey, students were asked to self-identify with several different populations. Due to there being enough respondents who self-disclosed, we were able to pull out data from two specific groups, which were students with disabilities and students from economically disadvantaged families. And you can see the results on the slide here.
Great. And so were there some differences then with what you found out about that question about who students go to for help?
Yeah, these two populations did have different responses when asked who they go to for help during the career and education goals as compared to the aggregate responses of all students. Specifically, students from economically disadvantaged families reported that the school counselor or advisor as the top response, while students with disabilities reported the teacher or school staff. As we mentioned before, all survey data showed that family was the top response for who students go to for help.
That's really interesting, again, especially with students with disabilities going to teachers. So you can tell that there's real power behind that relationship between students and teachers. And I think we often overlook that when we're talking about career guidance. We're very focused on school counselors, not always so much on the teacher and other school staff.
For sure.
So I know one of the other things that you were looking at is what are the things that school districts are doing well. So tell us a little bit about what you found out in that area.
So when it comes to career readiness, the current high school students reported that their school is doing well when it comes to career-based learning experiences, which are activities that involve employers or industry partners, career and technical education courses in student organizations, and dedicated time for academic and career planning in school. Recent high school graduates reported that the most interesting career readiness activities are those career and technical education courses, work-based learning, including internships, youth apprenticeships, and the school store, and involving in project-based learning.
That's great. Good. So there's a lot of really great things that our school districts are already doing that we want to really build on that foundation. Now, we've talked a little bit, I brought it up a couple times, the importance of that teacher role. Is there anything that you found out or any findings connected to the role of the teacher?
Absolutely. So we found out that students need teachers to be engaged, excited, and encouraging during the career readiness activities. The teacher's role matters significantly in this process, whether they realize it or not.
That's great. It's really interesting that teachers are so critical to a student's success in career readiness activities. And really not surprising when we think about it. But again, I think this is something that just might be overlooked by a lot of school districts as they create their career readiness programs and processes. What else did you learn about what students want when it comes to career readiness?
We learned that students want more career readiness activities, especially ones that start early on and occur more often. Students also want the activities to be hands-on and interactive, aligned to their interests, and include real people from the jobs that they are interested in. Lastly, students expressed a desire to understand all post-secondary education options, not just some.
That's great to hear that students are saying they want career readiness activities more often to happen early. Did they comment at all about whether or not they want to see career readiness happen kind of as a standalone, like in an advisory, or are they looking for career readiness to be more integrated?
I'm glad you asked that. Our next key finding states that students need to see how learning is relevant in all of their classes. This includes helping students understand how content, such as math or science, is applied to various careers and will help students develop career readiness skills.
That is fascinating. So integrating career-connected learning into all content areas is another factor that we want to make sure school districts consider. What else do students want?
We also found out that students are more engaged in their learning when they have more choice and voice, naturally. This applies to the opportunity to take elective courses that match their interests, as well as providing more options within career readiness activities.
Right, so it's time to maybe shake things up a little bit, get away from, having students just do a worksheet and fill something out and really look for ways to engage them and give them lots of different opportunities and lots of different choices. I love that. All right, so we talked about, the things that school districts are doing well and what students want. Now let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about what are some of the things that might discourage students from participating in career readiness activities. What did you learn in this area?
Sure thing. So the top responses students reported were being discouraged from participation in career readiness activities were simply a lack of awareness, not knowing what their options were, feeling as if they don't belong or that the activities aren't for them, being overwhelmed, being that it is too repetitive or not aligning with their interests, and other competing priorities.
Yeah, all important things to really take into consideration. And I believe this is another area where you found some differences when you disaggregated the data. What did you find?
Yes, we did. It was noted that the students with disabilities reported that it wasn't for them or they don't belong as the top choice, while all student data showed no time as the top response.
That, again, really important insight. So as we think about the marketing materials that we use to help advertise career readiness activities, how are students with disabilities being reflected into that? What are the different things that we're doing to make sure that we're really creating that sense of belonging so they can say, yes, that career fair or that job shadow, program or that work-based learning program is something that I should be thinking about and engaging in. It's really something for me. And also just making sure that we connect with our special ed teachers to make sure that they are aware of what's going on and they can have those conversations with students to make sure that they really feel like this is something that is for them.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. So I think our last key finding has to do with the career readiness skills our recent graduates felt are most important. What did they have to say about that?
Recent high school graduates have an interesting perspective on this project because they have already lived that high school experience. So we found that these graduates felt the most important skills to teach in K through 12 education are communication, critical thinking, and self or time management, among many other skills.
That's great. And I thought it was really interesting in the focus groups, how, they brought up things like being independent, having that self-confidence, that growth mindset, being able to work with different people. I noted they talked a lot about financial literacy and how scary it is to, interpret your paycheck and pay your taxes, and just the importance of having a really good, really well developed technology skills. So lots of great information there. So Lexi, were there any other interesting findings from this project?
Yes, of course. So for timing purposes, I will only share a few of these interesting facts, but please feel free to continue reading on the slide or check out the linked documents throughout the presentation to get more information. First, fewer than half of the current high school students surveyed feel that they can clearly state their academic and career goals, while 62% of recent graduates felt that they had a solid plan for their future by the time that they graduated. Additionally, 35% of recent graduates did not feel as their K through 12 education prepared them for the real world of work, and 40% did not feel that they had a good understanding of all of their career options. More positively, however, only 4% of current high school students feel their parents do not support them in the post-secondary education and career plan, Therefore, lots of the current high school students that we surveyed felt supported by their families.
So that's good to hear. So there's lots of good things going on, right? We've got some really strong things that are happening when it comes to career readiness practices. But when I look at these statistics, we've got work to do, right? Because I want to see 100% of graduates feel that their K-12 education prepare them both for education and training and for careers. So clearly we've got some work to do. So what does this all mean? What are the recommendations for school districts or other practitioners in the field?
So we have provided 6 general recommendations based on our findings. First is to simply create a comprehensive communication plan so that everyone is aware of the career and readiness activities that are available. Secondly, to provide professional development for all staff on how to engage students in these career conversations. Next, integrate career-connected learning into all subject areas. Fourth, evaluate current career readiness activities to provide a more meaningful and engaging experience. Also, using Zello as a tool to support academic and career planning, but ensure that scope and sequence of activities includes more than just Zello. So it's a holistic approach. Lastly, invite students to provide input and assist in making decisions about career readiness activities and programs, including how funding will be used. Give them that voice.
I love that. And hopefully this presentation is going to inspire people to go out there and look for their own youth voice in their career readiness programs. What kind of resources can we direct them to help them with this?
So we have included 5 important youth voice resources for you to reference and utilize as you start making these critical changes, and they can be found right here on the slide.
Oh, that's great. I know in particular that first one by Advanced CTE, that with learners and not for learners, is something that a team from Wisconsin has been using, and it's really, really, really helpful. My other favorite is that Heart's Ladder participation that really shows the different levels or ladders, steps on the ladder that we can take as we're trying to deepen the youth voice, from just getting that token response from the students to say, yep, we got their voice, all the way up to really including youth and making decisions about programs and how funding is even being used, which is super, super exciting. So that is our presentation. We really thank you for being here and allowing us to share these findings with you. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. Lexi, thank you so much for all of your time and all of your work on this. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you.